So today's video about my experience to grow oyster mushrooms, and I did it a long time ago, about year 2017 and 2018, and so it was quite a successful business, small business, but I enjoyed it a lot, so I will talk about this in this video. Okay, let's go. This is okay. This I present a version which is shorter version of my invention application, patent application about growing mushrooms, in particular oyster mushrooms. Okay, so and don't forget to download the presentation as PDF file from the link in the description. There will be also a link to my translation of the invention application for this method. And with the references also it will help you, and maybe you better understand how to do it. It is good business, and I was doing it, I enjoyed it. It's good for health also. Okay, let's go. Mushrooms are not plants, they are fungi. To grow mushrooms you need substrate, which is the material the mushrooms eat and grow on. Common substrates include straw, sawdust, and agricultural waste. But there is a problem. Harmful molds and bacteria also love to grow on these materials. So farmers usually have to sterilize it to kill all microbes, or pasteurize it, reduce harmful microbes as a substrate, and then before planting mushroom seeds, called spawn. Okay, this is how industrial production of mushrooms looks like. The huge autoclaves at high pressure and temperature about 120 degrees centigrade. They use to sterilize substrate, and this method is especially important for tropical countries because in tropical countries mold grows very quickly, and if it is not protected, if it is not eliminated, sterilized, then you will fail. But I propose method which is does not need sterilization. Okay, sterilization requires expensive equipment like autoclaves or steam chambers. This makes mushrooms farming costly, especially in hot tropical countries. My proposal explains a new low-cost method for growing mushrooms, especially oyster mushrooms, using coconut husk waste, which is abundant in tropical countries like Thailand. But again, if you are in some other countries, you can use other material which is rich in lignin. Also, because lignin, which is a waste product of paper production, can be used. Also, you can get lignin rich products from trees. So the key discovery is that coconut husk and lignin naturally contain chemicals that fight bacteria and molds. So with a few simple tricks you can grow mushrooms without expensive sterilization, and I did it, and it is relatively easy in small scale, and quite good because you produce a lot of mushrooms, a lot of food for your family and yourself, and this is healthy food. So okay, again, please download and read my patent application of year 2017 with references to the source information. I applied this application, but I didn't pay money to keep it working, and so it's gone. It's gone actually. But okay, but again, people can use this my experience, and also to organize small businesses, especially in tropical countries. It is big help. Okay, lignin fibers are polymers made by cross-link of phenolic precursors. It is again, they are phenolic, and they are they have antimicrobial, anti-fungi properties. So, and especially coir, this also is coconut fiber, is a plant fiber extracted from coconuts. Again, this is a lot of coconuts in Thailand and in tropical countries. Okay, let's go first to traditional mushrooms growing methods, how people use it. There are two main methods used today. One is European semi-sterile method. It is to soak substrate like straw and in hot water for several hours to kill some microbes, and then mix in nutrient additives and a lot of grain spawn. Grain spawn, that is seeds grown on grains, and it is mostly used 5% of the weight of the substrate, so it's a lot. Then pack it into large plastic bags. After the mushrooms mycelium starts growing, poke holes in the bags for air, and then grow it. Okay, this is what is normally done in Europe, but it is again 5% of the weight of the substrate grain. It is maybe again expensive and more complicated. Asian sterile method: put substrate in heat-resistant bags or jars like polypropylene. Sterilize completely in an autoclave at 120 degrees centigrade under pressure. After cooling, open briefly and add in small amount of spawn, about 0.5% of the weight of the substrate under sterile conditions. It has to be done in some box with gloves, and it has to be done carefully because again mold is very easy, can contaminate the substrate, and then all your efforts to grow mushrooms will be in vain. Okay, then again, disadvantages of this method. Both methods are expensive. European method uses a lot of grain, and Asian method needs autoclaves and sterile rooms for inseminate the substrate. Okay, low temperature chemical treatment also used from research and known from research. Some researchers have tried using chemicals to clean the substrate instead of heat, to kill the microbes, bacteria, and molds. For example, they soak straw in water mixed with some additives like wood ash to make water very alkaline, pH 11, or lime, or bleach, or hydrogen peroxide, or trisodium phosphate, or laundry detergent, and that is all was tried. And in one test, straw was soaked for 16 hours in temperature 60 degrees, then treated according to the known methods, and then packed into bags with 6.7 oyster mushroom spawn. It is, you see, it's a lot, more than 5%. But yields were hot steam sterilization gave 282 gram yield of the mushrooms. Wood and ash soak in water mixed with wood ash gave 309. Lime soak, so if lime was used and to increase the pH up to 11, it is the yield was 301 gram, and bleach gave low yield 244. Laundry detergent also not very successful, 234 grams. So what is the problem? You need a lot of grain spawn, so over 5% of the weight, which is expensive, and you can buy it, but again it is more expensive because it has to be specially produced, and it is not so easy to make it yourself. Normally people buy it from some specialized companies. Okay, then let's go to coconut waste problem. Thailand is the world's 6th largest coconut producer, making about 1.5 million tons per year. This is mostly used for coconut oil. But coconut husks, the outer shell, the fibers in the outer shell, are huge waste problem. Less than 20% is recycled, most is burned or dumped. Coconut husk contain 35 up to 54% of lignin, so it's a lot. Lignin is tough, waterproof substance which glues plant fibers together in the wood, but in the coconut husk it is even more. It protects the husk from rotting. This is again, coconuts are protected from mold and from bacteria. And so in fact, coconut husk can sit in a humid tropical forest for 100 years without breaking down. You see, it is again self-protection. That's good for durability, but bad for mushroom farming because mushrooms have trouble eating through this lignin. Not easy to break them with enzymes produced by mushrooms, mycelium. Also, coconut husk was low nitrogen source. It is carbon to nitrogen ratio is about 75 to 186. Not enough nitrogen, so it is mushrooms cannot grow enough. Okay, this is how looks like this a lot of husks, and they are burned. Not much applications, only maybe 10-15% is used. Mushrooms need a balanced diet. If there is too much carbon and too little nitrogen, they grow poorly. Studies show that using fibers from pure coconut husk, also called coir, as a substrate gives a very low mushroom yield, only 25-50, about 56% maximum of the yield from sawdust. However, if you mix 25% of coconut residue with 75% of sawdust, the yield becomes nearly as good as pure sawdust. So, but this mixture yet needs sterilization. Again, as you see, what people are trying, but to use in part coconut waste, but it didn't work much. So, what is my proposal? It is using coconut waste in the substrate without sterilization, so it makes the method much cheaper. So the inventor, it is myself, made an unexpected discovery. I worked on it. I tried very many different methods of sterilization, and discovered this. So I believe it is important. So even coconut husk is hard for mushrooms to eat. It has a hidden advantage. It naturally kills bacteria and molds. When you soak shredded coconut husk in water, it releases water-soluble aromatic compounds that act as natural disinfectants. This means you don't need to sterilize it. The problem was the mycelium grows slowly and not on all mycelium if you use pure coconut husk because it has not enough this nitrogen, especially nitrogen. And also the fiber is not easy to break down. What is the solution? I add starch powder or crushed grains. Okay, that's crushed grains or tubers, and it is relatively cheap. Starch powder is more expensive, but grains, crushed grains, it is grains on tubers or like cassava tubers. It is 3-5 Thai baht per kilo only, and this is about 33 for 35 baht is $1 American. So it is not expensive at all, especially if you use crushed grains or crushed cassava tubers. How it works? Starch for cassava, rice, corn, or other plants is fine white powder. So again, you can use a combination of starch with grains. When you mix starch into the coconut husk substrate, the starch particles spread out and get protected by the natural antibacterial compounds from the husk. The mushroom mycelium can then eat the starch directly. No need to break down the cellulose first. Normally, when you use grain spawn, this is sterilized grain covered with mycelium. The mycelium has to switch from eating grain starch to eating through cellulose from sawdust and strain. It causes a growth delay because it needs other enzymes. But if the substrate already contains starch or crushed grains, the mycelium keeps growing fast and colonizes substrate completely. So it is this is a grain spawn which is available. You can buy it, and it is grown on rice grain or other grains. But what you have to do, what I did, I added in the special box. I added water, boiled and cooled down water with starch, particles, so it is suspension of starch particles in water. I edited carefully with a cylinder into this spoon and shaking it, and then all this mycelium mixed with starch, and then I use this suspension of mycelium with starch as as seeds for mushrooms. Okay, then what are the key steps? First, you have to prepare the coconut husk. You shred or grind mature coconut husk or use only fiber. Again, it's relatively easy, and you can do it with hands or with some cutter. Soak in water for 12 hours or maybe one day. Add a small amount of laundry detergent. So yeah, or to help to increase pH to 7-8. So this is what I did. I made big bottle with water and put the coconut husk inside this coil of fiber, and also added this detergent, and then drain excess water. So and then remove the substrate, which is now has 70 to 90% moisture content. And what I did, second step, it is to mix one of up to 15% starch powder by weight of the wet substrate. So I mix it with the coil, or the wet coil, and starch powder or crushed grains. So you can use pure starch, dried cassava flour, or ground rice, corn, and also tuber grains or tubers. For better results, mix the grains pound with starch under sterile conditions. Again, you need some relatively big box with gloves inside, so you put this your starch, and again try to not contaminate your substrate with mold, and then mix it, put to the plastic bags. And what else? After you made this packaging, so use a little bit, 0.5% or maximum 1% of grain spun by weight to inseminate as seeds, and so it is much less than traditional methods. Again, I used a cylinder with suspension of this grain spun in water, and injected with a needle, injected to the substrate as deep, and also it was easy because it was liquid, but also I put some grain from the grain spun to the top of the packages and closed it in sterile conditions. Okay, then put the mixture into plastic bags. So this is what I did. Close them and keep in a shaded area for about 28 degrees centigrade. You cannot control out temperature, so just keep it this average temperature during the day. In 2 weeks, the mycelium will fully colonize your substrate. In tropical climate, it can go even quicker. So what fruiting? Fruiting, it is growing the mushrooms. Then when this plastic are already yellow, white color, mycelium grown on the substrate, put these bags in a humid room with fresh air and some light. Cut holes or open the tops of the bags. Mushroom buds will appear. So, okay, then how to make a humid room? I was using sprinkler, and and the fresh air was natural, and there was some daylight, but I didn't make any special illumination. Then when it is grow, so harvest mushrooms in flushes, in waves, and after maybe every every harvesting, you can add more starch suspension to boost yield. Okay, This is again, it is not my pictures, unfortunately. I didn't make pictures, but this is how people do it. So they cut holes, or they maybe open the top of the plastic bag so that mushrooms can grow. It depends how you arrange your plastic bags. Okay, so, example. In one test, it is inventor, it's me, made substrate from crushed coconut shells and with 80% of moisture. Then it's me, I added different amount of starch and 1% oyster mushroom spawn. After 2 weeks, the mycelium had completely covered the substrate. Then I moved the bags to a fruiting room, and the yield was much improved with added starch. Okay, in another test, after first harvest, I added starch water suspension, and eventually I got 3 harvesting waves about 7 days apart. What else? Then after these 3 waves, you have this mycelium. And what I use, you can use this mycelium as seeds for other substrates. So what else? So another surprise, the mycelium grown on coconut waste can be itself be used as spawn even for other substrates. Not only for, you can continue this method with coconut waste and powder of grains or tubers, but also you can use sugar cane. Sugar cane is a waste product. Sugar cane, after extracting of sugar, it is waste. It is abundant in tropical countries. Again, you can crush the sugar cane stems to remove juice, chop them, soak with a little detergent, then mix in about 10 or 25% of coconut grown mycelium. You see, it is now a lot, but no sterilization is necessary. Okay, so this is the advantage. So you take, and also you use substrate for next apartment, for next use. The mycelium transfers easily, it colonizes the new substrate. So it's, again, you see it, you using waste materials, which is cost you almost nothing, only your labor. And advantages of the new method: no expensive sterilization equipment such as autoclaves and steam chambers are necessary. Low use of the spawn, of the grain spawn. It is up to 1% instead of up to 10%. It uses waste materials like coconut husk, cassava peels, rice husk, sugarcane bagasse. Cassava, when people produce starch, they peel the cassava. Okay, this is also and these peels are rich in starch, so you can use them. It is waste material, but it is very useful. Okay, then simple steps: soaking, mixing, bagging, and waiting. So it works in tropical climates where heat and humidity normally cause contamination of the substrate with green mold. And spent substrate left over after mushroom harvesting can be used as animal feed, chicken bedding, and organic fertilizer, or even a lightweight aggregate for concrete. Okay, so this is, you see. Also, you you can use it as for seeds. Important chemical background for deep understanding: lignin is a complex molecule made of aromatic rings. It is not digestible by most organisms. Wood-rotting fungi produce special enzymes to break lignin into small water-soluble pieces. These pieces are what give coconut husk its antibacterial power. Starch is a polymer of glucose, that is sugar. Mushroom mycelium produces enzymes called amylases to break starch into glucose, which is easy to eat. And ratio of carbon to nitrogen. Mushroom need nitrogen to build proteins. Coconut husk is very low in nitrogen. Sorry about noise. This is against village and can be noisy. Okay, adding a little urea. Okay, this is what also I was using. A nitrogen-rich fertilizer to the soaking water helps to increase nitrogen, this to carbon ratio. Urea reacts with organic acid, also start and harmful ammonia is released. Also, conclusion: the new method makes mushroom farming cheaper and simpler, especially for small-scale production in tropical countries, by using coconut waste, which is normally burned or dumped, using a cheap starch powder of the coconut tubers or crazy grains, and taking advantage of coconut's natural antibacterial properties. You can grow mushrooms without expensive sterilization. The same method can be used for grow mushrooms on sugarcane waste or other local waste materials. It is a great example of turning agricultural waste into food while protecting the environment. Okay, the proposed method uses small amounts of laundry detergent and sometimes urea, but they are relatively safe when used correctly, and that's also removed water. The final mushrooms have been tested and contain no harmful residues. So if you want to try, start with oyster mushrooms. They are easiest for beginners. Collect coconut husk, shred them, soak overnight with a pinch of detergent, drain, mix in a handful of cassava flour or rice flour, or add a little grain spawn, which is available for mushroom supply stores. Put in plastic bag and wait for 2 weeks. Then move to the humid spot. You will harvest again. So if you do it yourself, you need a timer. So what I was doing, I was sprinkling water with a timer every hour. For a few minutes it was water was going through this electric valve and to rotating disc, and the rotating disc was spreading water, making air humid. If you don't have water, you have to invest more money, but you can use solar energy water pump and with solar cells, and it is affordable, even if you somewhere in a distant place. People in Thailand use these plastic cups, and then it is more easy to put the plastic bags into it is less space and saving space, and this is how they grow in Thailand. But again, it is not my production. I did it a long time ago. I unfortunately didn't make photos. Okay, oyster mushrooms. So you need even you can grow it at home, but you need in this case you need some tent with high humidity. And you can buy, and it is what necessary to buy this grain spawn, because normally you cannot buy it, but you can go to local producers of the oyster mushrooms and buy from them, because they buy in big amounts, or they do it themselves, and they can deliver you. Or you can buy even bags with substrate and use them, and to add some starch with water later on to increase the yield. So it also works. I did it recently at home, but okay, more easy to buy. It's more easy to buy mushrooms, so I gave up a little bit because I'm so a little bit easy. Okay. Again, this is my opinion. I tried to give you idea of small businesses. When I came to Thailand, I was doing a lot of small businesses and farming and chicken, keeping chicken, catfish, and geese and ducks, both for meat and egg production. And I enjoyed it. It's relatively easy. And again, if you eat a lot of oyster mushrooms with eggs, with free-range eggs, your health will be improved for sure. Okay, so okay, I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to press the like and bell buttons. And also this invention what I made, please download it, because again I am not doing video on it because invention is more longer, and it needs a little bit special language. So, but it may help you to understand the method. Okay, take care. Have a wonderful day.